Hi, this is Kat, and welcome to Kat Makes Knits. Grab something to drink, a fun project to work on, and let's spend a little time together. Thank you again for spending time with me here today. Like I said, my name is Kat, and I'm such a fan of knitting. It is an everyday part of my life now, but that wasn't always the case. I didn't have a grandmother or a mother that knew how to knit and taught me when I was really little. I actually learned from my 5th grade teacher, but it only happened because I moved from California to Minnesota. So when I got here, I had like 3 months left of 5th grade. And during, circle read aloud time, I remember vividly seeing the entire class go over to a corner of the room and they grabbed knitting needles, crochet hooks, pencils even to try and be knitting something while the teacher read aloud because she had prioritized teaching every student. And with only 3 months left in the year, she taught me too. And it was wonderful. I learned how to do garter stitch. I think I made a very wonky rainbow scarf. I, did dishcloths back then, little things, accessories. I did loom knitting for a while. But it wasn't until the fall of 2025 that I kind of stumbled back onto Ravelry. And when I go back and look, I think I created my account in 2020, but I was not an avid user at the time. And I found Tori Yu's Manhattan hat. And so I called up my best fiber friend, who is a wonderful knitter in her own right. And I said, can we go to a yarn store? And so we picked a local yarn store to us in Minnesota called Warm and Woolly. It's in North Branch. And we went there and I picked up a set of Chowgu interchangeable lace needles. I think it was Cascade Cantata yarn. And I attempted to make Tori Yu's Manhattan hat. And I think I tried the Kitchener stitch probably 3 or 4 times before I said good enough. And that's one of those patterns where I feel like I need a redemption knit for that. Maybe I'll do that for my 1-year garment knitting anniversary. Because it was a hat, but it was not what I would hope it to be now, especially knowing more about fiber. I think I would pick something a little bit more rustic or heavy duty. I think it would make the stitches pop a little bit better. But it kind of kickstarted everything. And I remember just browsing on Ravelry and being enamored with the step-by-step sweater, seeing that kind of pop up. And I placed an order for a lot of drops in Nepal from woolwarehouse.uk. And it showed up at my door in November. I think I cast it on my birthday, on my 33rd birthday. And I finished it I think it was off the needles, like really late on Christmas Eve. And so if you look on my Ravelry page, you can see me wearing it in front of our Christmas tree. But I was really proud of that knit. And I can talk about that in a separate vlog a little bit more. But it just really, I haven't looked back. I've knit every single day or almost every single day since then. And I love knitting. It's such a wonderful routine, ritual part of my day. And it's really good at teaching you that sometimes perfection isn't the end goal, but learning your craft along the way really is. So again, I'm happy to be part of the fiber community and excited to see where this journey takes me. In true knitting podcast fashion, I wanted to talk about what I'm wearing, what's on my needles, and what's kind of coming up ahead, either with events, acquisitions, things that I'm kind of looking forward to knitting in the future. So today I am wearing my Ranunculus by Midori Hirose, and it is a little known pattern, so if you haven't heard of it, don't feel too bad. I'm just kidding, of course. It's one of the most popular patterns to knit on Ravelry. But I knit mine up in a size 7. Using size 8 and 10 needles, and the yarn I used was Loops and Thread Twist Love in black. And it was actually a yarn that I got at Michael's Crafts, which is a local craft store, kind of big box craft store, I should really say, but local to me in America. And I was really inspired by Brooke Willow Knits to go and check this yarn out because she just started chatting about it. I'd never heard about it before I watched her podcast. And it's a really unique 100% cotton yarn. It's almost got like a rope-like texture, and I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but it creates this really wonderful texture to the knit. And so I'll go up ahead and show you a little bit more of the lace. But I really, really like this even more than I thought I would. So it's been wonderful. I reach for it in the summer. The cotton keeps me nice and cool. And it's almost because of the circular yoke and the shaping, it almost to me feels like a little bit of a poncho or some sort of layer that I can just throw on top of a tank top or a t-shirt and kind of just leave the house and go. So I've really been enjoying it. It was super quick to knit up. I think really the only hiccups I had was just learning how to really finish off a fully plant-based fiber. So I think I would do things a little bit differently. I'd try to weave in the ends as I go a bit more and just think about trying to separate strands, although this one that wasn't possible because there was sort of like a thread holding it all together throughout. So it was really difficult, but I think it's fine. It's been holding up well. And so I think if I were to knit the Ranunculus again, I would go for kind of like a woolly fiber, maybe kind of mid-weight for fall and winter. And I might even change up the lace motif just so it feels a little bit more unique. But there's so many wonderful video resources online. So I would say if you were considering doing this, don't be intimidated by the lace or like the cable cast-ons. There's tons of resources available. And every video I use that helped me, I've linked in my Ravelry page. So go check it out. Put one on the needles. Now that I've chatted with you a little bit about what I'm wearing, I want to talk about what's on my needles. So this first project is the Isolde top by Schwarzfenor. And I hope I'm saying that right. But this is a wonderful pattern designer. Her Instagram is beautiful. She has wonderful designs, and I became obsessed with the preview photos. So many people have done beautiful striped versions of this top, but I have been using a Stash Cotton yarn to work on mine. And so this is primarily knit up in Cotton DK weight, which is from Knit Picks. It's 70% cotton and 30% linen. And like I said, it's a DK weight with about 123 yards per skein. And I have about 10, and I got them on sale. And I am just loving the way this is knitting up. You first start with the back panel, and then you pick up stitches for each shoulder before you connect them together. Then you knit them in the round. And there's this beautiful, it's just started, but there's these ribbed panels on the side, which really help with shaping. And then there is a gorgeous signature kind of curved hem on the bottom of this tank. And it is just beautiful. But something I've noticed about myself when it comes to knitting is that when I reach for a hand knit, I'm kind of looking for that dopamine dressing, that kind of like excitement, a pop of something. Obviously my Ranunculus is very, very neutral and black, but this is sort of how I'm evolving as a knitter. And so I thought to myself, sure, a gray tank is awesome. It's a great staple. But what if I added some flame scarlet to the armholes and the collar and that signature curved hem? So I went ahead and I bought a skein of Sandusgarn Line from Wool & Company, and that free shipping is amazing. It's hard not to take advantage of that. And this is just a beautiful bright orange red that I think will just be the perfect pop of color for this top. So I'm just having a blast, and I am just, chugging away, hoping I hit that milestone of that vacation, because I would love to wear it as I go around some local yarn stores in North Carolina. So this is my Isolde top by Schwarzfenor. Okay, so I want to talk about my next whip. And I really have to focus so hard on my Isolde top to get it done in time, because this one keeps pulling me away, and I have to say, no, summer's before fall, so I have to wait. But I was so inspired by Park Williams, and she's been posting a ton of Instagram stories about her scrappy kind of approach to knitting. And I had been eyeing up the Roomy Raglan by Jules Efterfield for so long, and I just didn't have that much bulky yarn in stash. But then Park inspired me to make my own bulky yarn, and she's got this wonderful recipe on her Ravelry where she kind of lists, if you hold this many strands of this together, it creates this weight. And so I've just been really running with it, and this has been such a wonderful way to express myself creatively. I feel like I'm painting with yarn with this one. So this is my Roomy Raglan. I have split first sleeves, which is so fun, and I'm just having a blast. My color palette, as you can kind of tell, is really autumnal, kind of earthy tones, which aren't always my go-to, but I'm loving this, and I think it's just going to be an absolute staple in my wardrobe. I'm just going to pop it on for bonfires and orchards and all the kind of fall activities that we just love. Something I've been doing that's kind of fun is having this pop of yellow throughout and orange to kind of break up those deeper neutrals sections. But everything's marled. I've even had fun with kind of shining a light on the cool construction with all the German short rows. So as you can see here, this color doesn't continue onto the front because the German short rows are obviously in the back. And then Jules has a really cool part of the sweater construction where you add a lot of length. I don't know if you can see it right here, this panel. A lot of extra length to the back to really create that like high back roomy feel to this wonderful sweater design. So I'm just having a blast. I'm thinking right now I'm gonna keep going with the neutral brown on the bottom, and you'll have to help me decide. Should I make the sleeves kind of striped and fun, but try to match them on each side, or should I just go wild and have one arm look completely different from the other? So let me know in the comments below if you think one would look better than another. But this is my Roomy Raglan by Jules Afterfeel, and I am just absolutely having a blast with this one. It's like painting with yarn. All right, the third and final whip I've chosen to show you today is my White Mountains pullover vest by, again, Midori Hirose. I absolutely adore her patterns. I just feel like she's so economical with the yardage. You can use so many different types of yarn in her designs, and it's just so much fun to play. And you really feel like, oh, could I use this yarn for one of her patterns? And the answer is usually yes, which I absolutely love. So this has been flying off the needles until I got to Body Island, but there was a little bit of a hiccup with this guy. So I thought, I've been knitting a little bit more. If this isn't my first garment, I'm gonna have fun and do a 2x1 ribbed collar because that's just gonna look perfect for this design, right? It's gonna be so nice. Well, you know, it would be if I hadn't considered the already gorgeous detailing incorporated in the design, which is this beautiful pearl ridge that kind of bounces down throughout the entire, you know, either sweater or vest. And I've even decided this was a design feature I added, but I continued it down as a panel on this, almost like a side seam. And that 2x1 ribbing was not accounted for in this pattern. And so it didn't flow perfectly into that kind of pearl detail, which as you can see now, it does flow, but it was like one off on one side. And that was just something I couldn't live with. So I decided I was gonna perform sweater surgery on this guy, and everything's a learning opportunity. Well, the thing I learned from this is that while you can cut a hem at the bottom if it's a top-down construction, just unravel freely, you can't do that from the top of a top-down constructed sweater. And so I was met with yarn chunks flying everywhere. And I was sitting in the parking lot of Amazing Threads before one of their knit nights, and that's a great local yarn store here in Minnesota. And it was like fur was flying. Things were just flying everywhere, and I was committed to the cause at that point. So my wonderful friend who's amazing at knitting, I sat down with her and I said, listen, I got it down to where I need to. I want to make sure I have the right stitches on the needles, and I'm going to knit up and then just do a double folded collar, which is what I did. And so I don't think you could ever tell that this has gone through, you know, a severe surgical procedure. I think it is just gorgeous, and this color is going to look so beautiful with so many things. And this is quite a neutral, but this yarn is the Isagar Alpaca 3, and the color is, let me find it for you, 42. And it's this kind of gorgeous blue slate gray alpaca yarn. And it is, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost a chainette construction. Super squishy, super wonderful to knit with. But you're using a US 11 needle for the body. But I feel like you almost can't even tell. But that's another thing I love about Midori Hirose's patterns is sometimes the needle size she's suggesting is so much bigger than what the yarn might call for, but it still works. And this was even a yarn she knit a sample in, which is what inspired me to actually pick this, because I had teased around a lot of ideas for this gorgeous yarn. And I'm so happy that I settled on the White Mountains vest by Midori Hirose. Last but not least, I want to talk about a couple acquisitions and a future yarn tour that I'm going to be taking out of state very soon. So one thing I want to shout out is we have so many local yarn stores in Minnesota that are top-notch, amazing stores. And one of those is Darn It Anyway in Stillwater. They do an amazing semi-annual clearance sale, but on top of that, they have a recurring event called the Fifth Saturday event. And so it only happens a few times a year, but basically they offer 20% off store-wide. And on top of that are the clearance deals sometimes. And so that was the day that I went. And you buy a tote bag, I think it's about $10, and you get a code that qualifies you for the discount. But look what I found in the clearance bin. Are you kidding me? Let's look at this one first. It's La Bien-Aimée. It's their Alex, which I believe is a lace weight, in the color Lichen. This is 70% Falkland Merino and 30% Surrey Alpaca. It's 710 yards and 100 grams. And the squish is, I mean, it is so squishable, but it is this beautiful, almost warm gray tone. And I thought it would partner beautifully with its clearance bin friend and neighbor, Floral Morganite, which is also the Alex yarn. And oh my goodness, I just don't even know what to do with this. It's so beautiful and precious. So I am open to suggestions. If you have any, I'm not sure if I'm wanting to do a lace weight or a fingering weight garment, but maybe I'll hold them double or triple. I'm not sure yet, but I'm thinking a garment, although I could be persuaded to do a really cool shawl or accessory, I suppose. But I'm just loving garment knitting so much. But these two, I think, are a match made in heaven. And so I'm excited to hear your ideas about what these two could become. So I am so excited to take you along in July when I go on a trip with my family to North Carolina. I actually went ahead, I saw on Instagram, I want to say, that there was a North Carolina statewide yarn tour throughout the entire month of July, right after we booked this trip. And I was like, oh my goodness, the fiber fates are in my favor right now because I'm going to be there, which is wild. And so I actually had them ship their promotional tote bag all the way here to Minnesota. And you guys, it did not disappoint. It was full of yarn, stitch markers, wonderful information, patterns. It was jam-packed. So next year, even if you're not going to be in North Carolina, I might suggest going on and ordering one because it was just really fun to see what they have put together. And you could tell there was a lot of love and care in that tote bag. But I'm really excited to take you along and show you some local yarn stores in North Carolina in the upcoming month. I think it'll be really fun. I can't wait to see where my knitting adventures take me next, but I'm having so much fun along the way. So for now, be crafty, be creative, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.